Let's talk about our metrics that we track while we're out in the field. These are what would standardly be called KPIs, key performance indicators, but ours are a little bit more specific to what we're doing out on the doors. We call these our KPOAS, which KPOAS stands for knocked, pitched, on, appointment set, and contract signed. So, knocked, pitched, on, appointment scheduled, and contract signed. These are key indicators that are going to allow us to use data-driven statistical analysis in order to guarantee ourselves the results that we want. These are very powerful not only for your sales manager to assist you in helping perfect your activities out in the field, but they're also great for you for your own insights to tweak things here and there to make yourselves better. This is an industry that you can make a lot of money in. It's no secret that you can make over $500,000 doing this. There's guys making really, really good money, but they're not doing that easily, and they're not doing that their first year. These are multiple years down the road. They're trying to get better every single day. And the guys who are good, we're all tracking our metrics to have data-driven results and to plan our goals for each quarter, each storm season, and each annual cycle. So why do we track these specific items? Knocked. Well, this is the number of doors you knock. This tells us the number of doors you pitched. Now, in following the sales process, you're pitching a door, and the goal of the pitch is not to close them on the ground. Don't make this mistake. A lot of guys start to get an ego about, I'm going to close them on the ground. I'm going to close them on the ground. They're too lazy to get up on the roof. Oh, it's hot. The sun. Wear sunscreen, wear a hat, keep yourself cool, but get on the roof. This process is there for a reason. That's why we track how many roofs you got on, right? It's the number of roofs that you inspected from the pitch. Appointment scheduled. Well, pretty self-explanatory. That's just appointments set. And this is the number of contracts. All right, so we have the number of doors that we knocked, the number of doors that we knocked that we actually pitched someone. Of those pitches, how many roofs were we able to inspect? Of those roofs inspected, how many appointments did we set or contracts did we sign? Now let's dive into each of these a little bit better and why we track them. All right, so we're in a neighborhood, and let's say we're out knocking. The number of doors that you actually knock in a day are going to tell me or your sales manager how good the quality of the neighborhood that you're in or location that you're in, how much damage there is in that neighborhood because we're knocking doors that have damaged roofs, and then finally, how much effort you're putting into this. You can knock 4 doors in 15 minutes. So if you go out there and you knock 4 doors in a day, it's not your neighborhood. And it's not going to be the damage. It's going to be your effort. So you have to put effort into this. You need to start out 50 a day, 5 days a week minimum. 250 doors a week, 50 a day, 5 days a week minimum. So you need to do to start. So your goal here is 50 a day, 5 days a week. So 250 doors. You can do that. If you're not doing that, you're not working. It's that simple. And if you accepted this position and you were interviewed, I'm sure that you were asked what your effort level was and how much availability you have. Because every person in here when they're starting, I'm expecting you 50 doors a day, 5 days a week, and it better boil out to 250 doors a week. All right, now let's cover what variables affect your pitch numbers. So if you're knocking doors and you're not pitching very much, what could be the issue? It could be the time of day. You could be knocking in the morning, in the late morning, in a predominantly working class neighborhood where people are leaving the neighborhood and no one's home during that time of day. Or you could be knocking a lot of doors and talking to a lot of people, and that could be in a neighborhood that during that exact same time, let's say 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on a Tuesday morning, in one neighborhood that has a lot of working class younger families, those homeowners aren't going to be home. In another neighborhood that's more retirement community based, think Sun City, Sun City West, you'll have a lot of people home on that time of day. So that's going to be part of your strategy and how you maximize your numbers. What's something else that could happen? You have a home ownership percentage issue. That neighborhood, if it's full of renters, when you pitch a renter, it does not count as a pitch. Renters do not count as pitched. They don't, because that is not something that can boil down into business for you. So we exclude renters. So if you have a lot of knocks and very few pitches, it could be that you're talking to a lot of renters and you want to get to a different neighborhood. Day of the week is another big one. Much like time of day, day of the week is going to matter. 10 o'clock a.m. on a Tuesday is different than 10 o'clock a.m. on a Saturday. Keep in mind your day of the week. That's going to affect your production. And we're going to talk about that more in your strategy as well. This is why it's very, very important for you to maximize your weekends. On Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you want to be maximizing those weekend opportunities. Each day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, just that weekend is worth one whole week. Every day is worth 2 days because you're not just seeing people from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at night when they're getting home from traffic, but you're seeing people from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. So it is worth 2 days. Capitalize on the weekends. Capitalize on your weekends. That's when you make your money, and you want to follow up. You are going to have a lower percentage of deals that you sign, knock it and close it that day. You're going to have a lot more closes that come from following up. You knock during the week and you follow up and close predominantly on the weekends. Do not skip a weekend to go play basketball or to go fishing. Schedule those activities for Tuesday and Wednesday for when people aren't home, and live your life to where your weekends are your work day, especially during storm season. That is going to make a huge impact on how much money you make doing this. All right, so now that we've knocked the door, we've pitched the homeowner, on is tracking how many people you were able to go from the pitch to getting onto the roof. And what this is going to boil down to is almost entirely based on the quality of your pitch. If I see that you've knocked 50 doors and you've pitched 15 homeowners, I know that you're knocking a good neighborhood. I know that your time of day is pretty good. And if you're not getting on the roof, I can tell you that your pitch sucks. This is why the first thing you need to do in this is to get your pitch up. The first thing you need to do is memorize that pitch. You can go out and fumble your way and you can burn opportunities and learn out in the field, or you can memorize the pitch and say it to yourself over and over again for a week. Spend a week committing to memorizing that pitch, and then that coming weekend, get out on the doors. From Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, memorize that pitch so you cannot get it wrong. You can be interrupted, you understand the bullet points, you know it forwards and backwards. It's maybe 6 sentences. You can memorize that. Your pitch quality is going to determine your actual transition onto the roof. And remember, that's where that question, who is your insurance company, comes in. Even if it's an objection, who is your insurance company? Transition onto the roof. This is going to come down entirely down to your pitch quality. A little of this can be played, maybe have an impact with someone not being home, maybe the wife's not home or the husband's not home to help make the decision. That's okay. You should still get on the roof at that time and then schedule a time when you come off the roof to come back. So you should always try to get the priority on the first visit. If you're talking to a homeowner, your goal is to get on the roof. 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 That's the secret to success, and that all comes down to your pitch quality. All right, now let's talk about appointments. If you are scheduling an appointment, you should have gotten on the roof. If for some reason they will not let you on the roof but want to book an appointment, that's where the appointments is. The appointments is a pitch catch-all. If you pitch someone and they are not a renter, you should either A, get on the roof, B, book an appointment, and those are really the only 2 options you should have. If you get on the roof and you didn't book an appointment, you should sign the contract. There shouldn't be a situation where in which you get on top of the roof, come off the roof, and then not sign it and not schedule an appointment. How you transition to the close is what's going to determine your ratio. Let's say you got on 5 roofs, and you signed 2 contracts, you should have 3 appointments. If you don't have an appointment, let's say you got on 5 roofs and you inspected 5 roofs, and you signed 1 contract and booked 2 appointments, then that means that you have two projects that something happened. And now what could have happened? Objections. Consult objection training. Go back to the objection training, drill those objections, take the objections that keep coming up and get better. Within a few months, it should only take a month or 2 to get to where if you get on 5 roofs, you either sign 5 contracts or you sign 2 contracts and book 3 appointments or vice versa. But the ons should always be at least the sum, right? Appointments and signs should always be at least the amount of ons, if not more. Let's say that you got on the roof. If you got on the roof, they trust you, hence why they'll do business with you. If someone's not going to do business with you, they're not going to waste their time letting you go up on the roof or take that liability on in their mind. They're going to say, no, I don't want you on my roof. And they're going to give you objections, but if they let you onto the roof, you should transition very easily to the close. That's the beauty of this process. If they let you on the roof, you got a deal. There's no weird, awkward close. There's no whoever talks first loses nonsense. They let you on the roof, you got a deal. Just don't fudge it up. Now, if you don't sign, you should set an appointment. And when you're setting an appointment, we don't want appointments months in advance or weeks down the road. We want them ASAP, as soon as possible. There's something called the law of diminishing intent, and that means the longer an action is delayed, the less likely an individual is to perform that action. The longer you delay signing, the longer you delay the appointment, the harder that appointment is going to be. If let's say you're booking an appointment at 3 p.m. for when the husband gets home at 6 or 7 p.m., you're much more likely to have an easier close and get that deal signed than if you take that same appointment and schedule it for a week later or a month later or a year later. Let's say we drag it out. If you try to book an appointment 10 years later, what's the likelihood that you'll sign that? Very low. Let's say you book an appointment an hour from now. What's the likelihood you sign that? Very high. Keep that in mind when you're booking your appointments. All right, so now signed is pretty simple. It's just the number of contracts that you sign. This is going to have a direct correlation to how much money you make, because you don't get paid for pitching. You do get paid for pitching, and we'll talk about that, but you don't really get paid for pitching. You get paid for closing a deal. How many contracts you sign is how much money you're going to make, and we'll talk about that with goal setting. But let's cover how to use these KPOAS. All right, so we're going to talk about how to use the KPOAS, or KPOAS for short, which is our key performance indicators. I've got 3 examples up here, and we're going to go over each one and how to use this. So we have our knocked, our pitched, our on, our appointments, and our contract signed. We have example 1, example 2, and example 3. In example 1, an individual goes out and they knock 12 doors. They pitch 1. They don't get on anything. They don't book any appointments, and they don't sign anything. This is probably your first day. If you have not gone out yet, you will discover when you first do that you don't really look at roofs before this point in your life, and you are having to discover where damage is, how much is enough damage, what's a good area. You're going to be a little bit overwhelmed the first day. That's okay. Just go out and get started. You're probably going to pitch 1 because you're going to talk to a shitload of renters, because a lot of it's going to be older damage. It's going to be a lot of renters that you're not really familiar with how to do. You might pitch 1 homeowner, and then that homeowner is probably not going to be receptive, because I'm betting that you didn't take my advice and you didn't perfect the fucking pitch. So you burnt that door, the 1 door you could find, and then you get a really harsh reality. And then you contemplate maybe you've zigged when you should have zagged, and you've made a terrible mistake, and you should have kept being a waiter, right? Or kept being a barista at Starbucks, or, should have gone to medical school, shouldn't have done drugs in high school, whatever your issue is. That's your first day. You're going to be having an existential crisis. It's okay. We've all had it. Let's say example 2, you learn your lesson a little, you get humbled there, and then you decide, okay, the next week I'm going to go out and I'm going to actually go early, I'm going to go till dark, and I'm going to knock 50 doors or bust. So let's say you go out from 12 to 8 o'clock p.m. or dark. All right, so you did that. So you were able to find 50 damaged homes, and of those 50 homes, you added 45 into leads in the sales rabbit, and then you were able to pitch 5 homeowners. And you practice your pitch. Maybe you're not quite perfect yet, you got some questions you couldn't answer, but you're able to get onto 2 roofs. And then of those 2 roofs, you're able to close 1. This is probably what your second week, if you take this seriously, will be like. Now, after you've been doing this a little bit, you get a storm season under your belt, or you take it really seriously, even for just a month, this last example is what you're going to be more sitting along the lines of. You're going to knock 50 doors, and you're going to have talked to 10 people because you're going to have some follow-ups in there that are mixed in, and you're going to know the neighborhoods better. You're going to get a lot better at picking your neighborhood, the time of day, being more efficient with your time while you're out. And let's say you knock 50 doors and you pitch 10. Of those 10 that you pitch, you were able to get on 8 roofs. That's a pretty good conversion rate. You should, if you pitch them, you should be able to get on 80% of roofs, especially after you've gotten some experience and you can answer your questions a little bit more thoroughly. They were able to book 5 appointments, and they were able to sign 3 deals. We call this a hat trick. Now, is this going to be every day? It could be if you work really hard at it, but probably not. But you have to set yourself up to do days like this by going through some days like this and going through a lot of days like this. You might have a day like this, and then you might have a day like this the next day. It just depends on how it's going out, but the more frequently you're out there, the closer you're going to get to these results. This, you're probably not having to go out at 12, you're probably just going out from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. or dark. This is how you're going to make a lot of money in doing this. You need to get to the point where you can knock 50 doors consistently. This number dictates everything. I know here, with it being 12, it wasn't neighborhood, it was effort. Here, there was probably a little bit of neighborhood, right? If you're knocking doors, you should be talking to, 20 to 50% of doors should be homeowners. But, this pretty good. So maybe it's just a little bit of neighborhood there. This is obviously, this issue is the pitch could improve, right? And then he's missing a deal here. So he got off the roof weak, so we need to fix that too. So we need to go through and just tweak a few things. Maybe I put you in just a little bit better neighborhood, help you find just a little bit better neighborhood, a little bit more homeowners. This could just be the neighborhood issue. It could just be a lot of renters. The difference between this and this could be renters. But the difference between this and this and this and this is the pitch. So this is how we can use this to help you get better. You can say, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why I'm not being able to close anything. I really want to do 3 a day, but I'm not knocking 50 doors. And then I'll ask, great, how many people have you pitched? Of those, how many did you get on? Maybe your pitch sucks. Hit me with the pitch. Okay, your pitch is good. All right, well, let's figure out what some other issues could be. We can tweak each of these to help you improve. Here, this is what you want to be. At least 20% of the doors you knock, you pitch. Of those, you should be getting on 80% of those. And of those 80% of your pitches, you should have 100% conversion, and it should either fall into a contract signed or an appointment set for later. If you have any questions about this, you can ask your sales manager. We can go into a little bit more detail on every little variable, and if you're having issues, ask for help and make sure that you have an understanding of how your Sales Rabbit leaderboard tracks this. Your Sales Rabbit leaderboard is where we get these numbers, okay? And then that's what I'm going to be able to pull up. That's what your sales manager is going to be able to pull up. We want you to make more money. The more money you make, the more money the company makes. But the one thing that we just have no sympathy for and don't tolerate is laziness. If you're out knocking 12 doors 3 days in a row, that's just you're not putting in the effort, right? Okay, you don't want to knock for more than 3 hours. you need to find something else to do because you're just not going to make money. I don't know of anything in the world that's illegal that you can start out putting just a few hours in a day and make $500,000 a year. In the beginning, you need to make up for things that you don't understand with lack of experience and maybe a little bit of ignorance. Ignorance is okay. Everyone starts off ignorant until they educate themselves. But you need to counteract those two variables with effort. And as you get more talented, as you get a better grasp of this, as you get much more confident, your closing ratios will go up. All of these numbers will end up going up. And then you can rely a little bit more on talent. Maybe you go out from 4 to 8 p.m., but you're signing a deal a day. That's very different than having to go out, from 12 to 8 p.m. and sign a deal. That's talent. But the difference between this and the difference between this is effort. That's effort. So now what you need to do is knock 50 doors a day, 5 days a week, for 1 week. You need to go out and knock 250 doors. You need to dust off all the jitters. You need to get the pitch smoother. You need to just get those first 250 doors out of the way. Get them out of the way, commit to doing them, and then next week is where you'll really start flowing. You'll really understand what you're doing, and you'll start to feel a lot more confident. This is remarkably simple, but in the beginning it is like drinking from a fire hose, and we've all been there. Good luck to you. I'm very excited to see what you can do, and we're going to have a lot of fun throughout this process, but you only get to the fun after you put this hard work in. It's worth it, I promise you. This industry has changed my life. It has changed my fucking life. I can tell you more about my story in another video or one-on-one, but this truly is an amazing industry, and going through this, I promise you, is worth it. Get better, get 1% better every day, and you'll be rolling in the dough before you know it.